Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna talk about WPT 3K tournament, which I played on December 17 to 18, and I got like 3 buy-ins. So let's see how it went and how I played. First buy-in was on day 1A. Starting stack is like 30k. There are 40 minutes levels, starting from 100, which seems pretty unusual. Let's check like this 3 bet bluff and double barrel. So blinds 100. I have ace 8 offsuit on a small blind. Cutoff raises to 400. I 3 bet to 1.5k and cutoff calls. Flop is 10-9x. I bet 1.2k. Cutoff calls. Turn is a deuce. I bet 2.2k. Sorry. Cutoff calls again. So river is 3. He checks through. I lose to 9-7. Yeah, that's a pretty loose call from a cutoff like on the pre-flop. Given the raise size, I think it's kind of reasonable to fold as well pre-flop. I think ace 8 offsuit is not particularly good, and this is like if the raise has been like to 250, I think like call or like some 3-bet becomes more reasonable. But here it's not as good pot odds, and I risk a big part of my stack playing out of position with a marginal hand. So I think some raises with offsuit hands on a cusp, they can become a part of a 3-bet strategy. But if opponents are playing kind of optimally, this like ace 8 offsuit maybe just too weak. I might want something like ace 10 at least, but really need to check the charts to be precise. Speaking of bets, I think I should consider just checking on the flop because I don't have an nut advantage, so I think I only can get like 10s or 9s. I think ace 10 is kind of good, but it's not really that nuts. Range advantage is also, I think, not really in my favor as much. I may still have some range advantage, but it's not big enough because I would have like many high cards, like ace queen, maybe ace jack, king queen, and like ace x suited. So like I know that it's kind of hard to give up in a 3-bet pot, but I probably should have checked and maybe gotten a free card. So yeah. Next one, tough spot with a marginal hand. I have 8-3 of suit on big blind and small blind limps. There's not much to do here. It's check. It's like one of the worst hands, and I don't see much reason to raise. Flop 8-7-4 with 2 hearts. Small blind checks. So I wanna protect my hand and maybe get some value. So I bet 200 and small blind calls. Turns is an ace. Small blind checks again. I was thinking that maybe he just didn't like hit anything, so I bet like 500, thinking maybe he's like with some 7 or like gut shot, but I get raised to 2.2k and I ended up calling. I've been thinking he is trying to like bluff me, but at the same time it's kind of nasty spot. It's like why I should have just like checked behind, because like ace high hands or like maybe like something like ace 4 or ace 7, they can definitely like call or like just check pre-flop and like call my bet, because it might be just good, and I can be like bluffing with like any 2 cards potentially. So the raise is pretty big as well. So again, I think that's like one of the cards which may be good for bluffing. But that's just another reason why I should have checked. Once I'm raised, it's really a tough spot. I need to have some bluff catchers, and unfortunately this kind of hand is kind of a bluff catcher because, well, I don't have that many much more like stronger hands. So yeah, and on a river it's just like queen, but and which makes it worse. It brings a third to a flush, and small blind bets big. Yeah, I don't see that many bluffs here. I don't know, maybe it's some kind of 9-10, but that's gonna be like kind of long play my opponent did then. It's just like calling and like check raising on a turn, representing some kind of like at least an ace or a set. So yeah, I think if I just like checked on the turn, I could just easily call the river bet because it's not gonna be large. And 8 is still would be like a decent bluff catcher. But yeah, the way it played out, it's most likely just a fold because I mean I called the bet. So opponent should be at least afraid that I might be on a flush draw, but he's not. So I don't think he's really bluffing here much. Next one, triple barrel bluff. I have 7-5 offsuit on BB. Small blind just checks. Flop is Jack Jack 9. Small blind checks. I'm thinking that, like, let me just take a shot at it because my hand doesn't have any value and it doesn't win at showdown. So I get a call. Turn is an ace. Small blind checks here, bet again, but what I kind of should have realized that like ace high is and maybe some nines and jacks are definitely in the calling range. So and draw like probably wouldn't fold yet. So I should have just like gave up because I lose to a big chunk of the range. River is a deuce. There is a check. I bet 800, just like trying to probably blow off some like missed draws. But unfortunately for me, like small blind calls and I lose to ace 9. So he has me beat for like all the streets, and he's definitely like calling all the bets. So yeah, that's like why like kind of bluffing without any extra value is kind of like risky and maybe just bad. I think like one bluff is okay, but like after that ace, it gets like it is too much. I think I could just like bluff myself as an ace, but after there is a call on like on a brick river, I think there is just a good chance that I like after two calls I'm gonna get another like call. I mean, I made my bet kind of large to like kind of trying to represent that ace again. So I think like if he didn't have an ace, the bluff would have had a decent chance of success. But yeah, I just don't know. I think like simpler strategy is just to like maybe bet on a flop and then give up, rather than triple barrel in a situation where you kind of don't know where you stand and your range is just like everything. So opponent can like reasonably call even with a 9, I think. Like if you consider some like triple barrel. Next one, calling with a small pair. Have a couple threes in the middle position, raise to 300. That's a bit of a loose raise. I think like small pairs are kind of bad deep stack. Like in like earlier positions, because even if they flop a set, they might be like against a higher set. So I should have considered folding potentially, and maybe only raise it from like something like cutoff or like button. But I think also at the same time, catching a set versus some kind of like top pair is still pretty nice. So I think like raise is not bad too. Cut off 3 bets to 1k. So here I think stack depth plays to my advantage, so I can still set mine even for a 3 bet, which I do. Flop is Jack 4-2. I check, get the bet like 1k. I decide to call 1 bet because this flop doesn't really like connect all that well with opponent's range. And if I'm against like ace king or ace queen, then I'm ahead. So turn is 6, checks through, and the river, sorry, I just mistyped it. River is 8. It's again checks through, and I win versus ace king. So yeah, one of the hands my opponent try to bluff. I think if you bet again, there is probably a good chance I would fold, because like I think ace jack suited might 3-bet, like kings, queens, aces can like 3-bet, and even like for example on the river, for example, tens might just decide to like thin value bet. So yeah, that's one of the problems playing those like a couple of threes. It gets a lot of cards like over it. So here I kind of just got lucky to some degree. Then I was trying to get a straight. Again, blinds 100-100. Have ace jack of suited in middle position, raise to 300, cut off and button call. So I'm like out of position. Flop is 10-9-8 with 2 spades. I decided, okay, so I have a good draw. So I can continuation bet here, bet I think 600 and get 1 call. I think here I should have actually like probably bet on I actually don't know what I should have bet, but I think maybe on the smaller side, because I don't really have a nut advantage. I don't really have as much like range advantage too, because like callers would probably have like more 10s, 9s, and 8s than I do, or at least a comparable amount. So it's definitely like a dynamic board. Yeah, I just need to check the manual of like on dynamic boards how much I should bet. I think larger bet though is also not nice, because it doesn't give like drawing hands a lot of odds, but to really like blow them off, you need to bet like maybe overpot it. And also you don't want to do this because you can just you might get calls from some marginal hands. But at the same time, as a draw, I probably want to blow off like even marginal hands, so I should probably like bet on a larger side. But I should balance it, so I think like I should also bet on a larger side with like mate hands, like maybe some sets, or like even straights with queen jack. So yeah, overall I'm kind of in favor of a larger bet size here, so maybe I should have bet like maybe 700 or 800 even, just to like charge draws a bit more. Let's see, turn is 6. Like I could already be beaten with like a 7. So I check, there is a bet of 1k and I call. I could have like continued played my draw like kind of aggressively. But a lot of my range kind of checks here. So I don't have that many 7s there, and all the like sets, top pairs, and like 2 pairs all should like check. And like my opponents would have like more 7s in their range. So I think check call is a reasonable choice here, and it kind of keeps my range pretty wide here, and keeps opponents guessing too. River is a king. Again, I cannot see myself like betting here. I think that's one advantage is if I bet the turn, I could also try to bet the river and like potentially get faults from everything like except like 7. So here, like as you see, I lost to queen 9 offsuit. That's a pretty loose call from my opponent, but well, it is what it is. And he even like tried to like turn his hand into a bluff on the turn. So I don't know why. It's just like, I mean, maybe like trying to blow off like a king or something. But yeah. Honestly, I think this is a spot where potentially if I bet a turn and bet the river, I could get a fold from just a 9. Uh, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to tell. Because if I bet a turn, it represents like very, very thin range or like a draw. And so it's probably essentially just mostly like queen jack, and my opponent may still like not believe me that I have a queen jack. It actually opens up opportunities for a thin value bet with like set, because opponent may not like put me on a 7, so they may still like call with some marginal hand, and I get my value. At the same time, it kind of gets scary because like 7 can easily be like drawing and could have gotten there. So if I get raised as a bluff, I'm in a like bad shape. So yeah, I'm probably kind of happy with the way I played it. So another one is like top pair and off spot. I have queen 9 of clubs on the button. There's a limp, raise to 500, and a call. I decide to call, and so do a few other players. I think given a button, it's probably okay, and it's like semi-connected hand. I'd rather like something more like queen 10 to call. Raise is not super big, so it's probably an acceptable call in multi-bot, especially given that like limper kind of gets in and I have a good position post-flop. Flop is all hearts with giving me top pair. So it checks. There is a bet 2k. I decide to call because, well, it's kind of one of the better hands I can get, despite it's just being a pair with a like medium kicker. But yeah, if I give up this hand, I'd rather should just like fold pre-flop. So I call. The limper check raises to 7k and another person calls. Yeah, that's not a great spot, so I just like regrettably like let it go. Yeah, that's another like pain of playing like marginal hands pre-flop. I know, like for example, if with queen 10, it's gonna be like even with queen jack, it's gonna be like a similar situation. But like the thing is, the less I play those marginal spots, the less like tough spots I find myself in. So that said, I think given all the there is like a multi-pot, I think like with like deep stack getting with queen 9 is still like acceptable. Yeah, so and the hand turned out that like two people had like limper had like ace 10 of hearts, and that like better had like set of fours, and the better got lucky with a 3 on a river with a full house. Let's get to the next one. 4-bet bluff, blinds 200, 300. I have king, queen of suit on UTG 8, I think. UTG 8 means like it's like UTG when there are 8 players. I think this notation UTG 7, UTG 8, and UTG 9 is actually like pretty good. I got this idea from like somewhere that it's like good to distinguish between those positions when there are like variable number of players on the table, and it's often going to be like maybe 7 or 8 players, not a full table of 9. So like you cannot just tell UTG or UTG plus 1, because it's like effectively like if there are 9 players, then UTG 8 is like UTG plus 1. If there are like 8 players, UTG 8 is just UTG, so it's very like confusing. So that's why like this fixed notation UTG 7, UTG 8, UTG 9 works pretty well. Okay, so I raised to like 900. Probably could have made it like slightly less, about 800 at this point, but still stacks are pretty deep, so I think 3 big blinds is still a good raise. Lose bottom 3 bets to 2.5k. I kind of don't like getting bullied. At the same time, I think this 3 bet is like against in the early position, so it could show like some more respect. But I still think there is a lot of like kind of bluffs or like semi bluffs maybe like king jack is there, like ace x suited is there, like maybe some pairs are there, so I'm still like, I feel like I'm getting a decent chance of just to like get the money in the pot. Still probably like suited would be a bit better. So I don't know. I think like my feeling is that this might be a bit of a like like probably against a like GTO player that's gonna be like a losing 3-bet or losing 4-bet. Sorry, I'm pretty sure. But like exploitatively against loose button, like it might be profitable. Because like if you just fall to 3-bet from UTG-8, it just like show some like weaknesses and you allow yourself to get bullied. So I don't like to get bullied. So I sometimes just like snap and just kind of push all in. And I think this kind of like loose player is like a kind of good kind of player to like do this against. Called 4-bet versus like potentially aggressive 3-better. I didn't have as much reads, but like it looked like he already like 3-bet sometime earlier, not that long ago. So blinds 200 400. I have like 9s on the button. Hijack raises to 1k. This like aggressive player 3-bets to 3k. I thought that for a bit that like their ranges should be like pretty wide. And even if I get called, I may as well be like versus some just high cards. And 4-bet looks pretty strong, so it's kind of somewhat a bluff. Downside is though that I don't have like blockers, so I think it's actually better to do with ace x suited. And also ace x suited has better chances versus like some higher pair. And so here, as you can see, I got called by pocket kings of hijack. Like cutoff quickly folded, so it looks like my read could have been correct, but I just got not very lucky versus like hijack. So and I didn't get my 9, so I'm losing and out. I got to buy in number 2 on day 1B. So again, blinds 100. I just bet the top pair for value. Have ace jack suited on cutoff. Low jack raises to 300. I just call, and big blind calls. That's probably like one of hands I could like 3-bet, or at least like mix it up. Also, I think like I don't remember the charts very well. Ace jack suited may actually be more of a like call. Also with super deep stack, I think it's probably like mixed strategy with 3-bets. But like 3-bets may be coming from like ace 5 suited, maybe ace 10 suited. Maybe like something like ace 7 suited. But ace 7 suited, I think it's like from like 100 big blind deep, not 200 big blind deep, and yeah. But I think a calling position is also pretty good. So flop is ace queen 8 with 2 hearts. Low jack checks. I decide to just value bet because like there are 2 hearts. I don't want to give any draws free cards, and I have a pretty good ace. Maybe queen would also call. So big blind calls and low jack folds. Turn is a 9. Big blind checks. Again, I don't see any like strength indication really. So I can be against like some weak ace or some like queen. Also like jack 10 got shot got there, especially if like it's jack 10 of hearts. But it's still like just one combination. And so far I think I can like check for pot control, but I feel like I can be losing value, and like oftentimes people just go in with those like ace x like offsuit, so it's like accounts for pretty long range or like pretty big amount of combinations. So I bet and big blind calls. River is 4, big blind checks again same motivation. Like I don't think I'm against like ace king, but I can as well be like, of course, against ace 8, ace 9 or ace 4, but nobody raised. Like if big blind would probably raise the turn, I could like consider that. I could be against that. But so far, there's still a good chance I'm ahead, so I bet 2k and big blind calls, and yeah, he had one of those like weaker aces, but got lucky. Again, yeah, it looks like I could have just like checked one of the streets and saved myself some money, but at the same time, if it was, for example, ace 7 or ace 10, I would have lost on a value. And if he would like raise the river, yeah, I would probably just like fold because, well, I shown strengths, all the streets. Another one with facing an overbet, blinds 100-100, have pocket tens with one heart in middle position, raise to 300, and get 3 callers. Flop is ace, ace 7 with two hearts. There are checks. I bet 600. So actually I should have bet more because I have a nut advantage and I have a range advantage. There are a lot of like aces in my range. And one of the blinds decided to call. Turn is like some heart, so it checks. I don't think I should bet here because like I could be against a draw which just made a flush, or I could be against some like ace x. So river is a queen. There is an overbet of 3.5k. And the problem is I don't see that many bluffs here. So like what he called on the flop. Maybe like flush draw, but it got there. Weak ace or like maybe medium ace. Well, it's there. Like maybe just king high or something. But king high still would be scared probably of an ace. Yeah, so I didn't find many bluffs and decided to just like fold. Let's see, pocket queens. We have pocket queens on the button. Middle position raises to 300. There is a call. I just do 3-bet over more or less standard size to 1.2k and get 2 callers. Flop is pretty like dynamic, queen jack 10 with 2 clubs, but I got the top set, so I'm pretty happy in general. So there are checks. I decide to like bet large just to protect my hand and extract value from the draws. And I got all the folds. That's unfortunate, but at the same time, like I didn't run into like ace king, or I didn't get like busted later, so it's also like okay. Oops, it keeps acting weird. So bluff raising. I didn't fully understand how my opponent called here, but well, it happened. So blinds 100, 200. I have king 9 of suit on small blind. Cutoff raises to 500, and I decide to call. That's not that super big of a raise, so it's kind of okay call, but the fact that it's off suit is like not super great. So maybe it's like on a cusp. I think on the big blind it's like definitely a call, but like on a small blind, it what? So it's I need to pay 300 into 1,000 pot, and big blind is yet to act. It still feels like a call, to be honest, because cutoff raising range is pretty wide. So I think my king 8 might as well be like just higher cards than him. But it might get dominated, so I think I'm like neutral about calling and folding. Flop is ace 5-4 with 1 heart and 2 diamonds. So I check cutoff bets 1k. I decide to raise to 2.5k and cutoff calls. Turn is a queen, so it checks. Yeah, I decided not to like bluff because like ace and queens are like in a kind of good shape here, and they could constitute a big part of my opponent's range. Uh, so there's a good chance he just got in there with like a queen, or was there with an ace already, or has a high equity draw, which I'm actually still ahead against most likely. So river is 5, it checks again, and I lose to queen jack of hearts. So he called me with just second and third height card and backdoor flush draw, or maybe just floated me. I don't know. That's a bit of a like just tough spot. I think I should have made a larger raise, like 3k, and then just not give good pot odds. So maybe he put me on a draw and thought that his queen high may still be good, and the backdoor flush draw is like a decent. Overall, though, like I think this kind of raise is, I I got the feeling that he may be like with nothing. I don't remember why. It was maybe he was like loose or something. But still, I got like nothing, like no like backdoor equity even. So it's probably just better to fold on the flop, given that like ace x is like a high percentage of like opponent's range, and if I'm like behind, I'm like way behind. Even against like 5, I'm still like, for example, I just have like only 25%. And I may be already like kind of drawing almost dead. I think same kind of applies to the pair, but like with the pair, there is like a big chunk of a range which is like I'm ahead against. So yeah, it's standard button play. So I just raise with ace3 offsuit, make a continuation bet. I think continuation bet is okay because there is this a queen on the board. I think eights are also like a part of my raising range, so I think I have a decent enough range advantage. I would probably bet a bit smaller, maybe 800, like maybe more like 1/3 of the pot. Because I don't have a nut advantage here, I think. Then turn is 8. It checked. I thought that okay, he may call on like 8 or like a queen. So I decided not to continue bluffing and see if my ace high may be like good. River is 4. He bet like 4k, which is a really big bet. And I don't know where I stand, and I just have ace high. So to bluff catch, I probably need at least like a queen, or like, I don't know, at least like something like 9s. So semi-bluff is a flush drawn over cards, blinds 200, 300. Have king, queen of suit with queen of clubs on UTG8, and the raise to 800 and get 2 callers. Flop is jack 7 deuce all clubs. So there is check. I bet 1k, get a call, and big blind check raises to 3.5k. I thought for a bit. I don't remember if I had any like read on this big blind. But I thought that okay, I can like blow off any like flush draw. I'm like against the jack, I have very like live outs. So the only problem is I'm like if I'm against ace of clubs and like jack, or like king of clubs and jack, then I'm drawing like pretty poorly. But I decided to play it aggressively, went all in and got to the folds, which was a good result. So Next one is trying to bluff catch. Blinds 200, 300. I have ace 7 suited on a hijack and raise to 800. Cutoff calls me. Flop queen 7x with 2 diamonds. I check because I have a like marginal made hand, which I ideally want to just like check to the river. Turn is in some like low diamond. I check. So there is a bet from 1k. I decided just one bet is not not enough to make me go away, and the diamond is a good like bluffing card, so I call. River is a jack of diamonds. I check, get bet of 1.5k, and I thought for some time. I thought that if my opponent may have a diamond, but if my opponent doesn't have a diamond, I think he's kind of betting polarized, so it probably doesn't have anything. Because with some like pair, maybe like a queen or something, he would probably just like check behind. And the chance that he has a diamond is, I think, like something like 45%. So I was getting good pot odds, and I decided that okay, I'm just trying to call this. I lost against the thin value bet, so I see he had like 10 of diamonds, so not super high diamond. But he probably reasonably concluded that if I didn't bet, so I probably don't have like ace or king of diamonds. Also, I might be like trapping, trying to check raise, but there's a good chance like if I get there, I would probably bet. So yeah, I think it's probably an okay play. I would probably play it the same way. Also, this is one of the situations where like it feels bad that if I would bet the flop, I would probably just win the hand. So that's one disadvantage when you like check with marginal made hands. But at the same time, he was like drawing pretty thin. So he had like 10, so 3 outs, and running diamonds, so that's another like 2 outs, so like 5 outs, like 20%. So you gotta sometimes let them do this. But at the same time, if he like goes ahead, he might just like get outsized value. So the balance it still is not, it doesn't look super pretty, to be honest. But I should have something in my checking range which can like reasonably call a bet. So not just like junk which I'm gonna fold. So medium strength hands would act like as a like, good thing for this. Another ace queen is in 3-bet pot. Blinds 200, 400. I have ace queen of suit on big blind. Under the gun 9 raises to 900. There are 2 callers. I raise to 5k and get 1 caller. Flop is 10, 7x. I bet 5k and get a quick call. Turn 6 I check, get all in and fold. So this, I think it's played kind of poorly by me. So first of all, yeah, under the gun 9 is a raise is pretty strong. So I should just like call on big blind, and especially given there are several callers of that raise, they're probably like good. So maybe, I don't know, maybe like even some ace king can call. Again, raise is pretty small, so like I think there's more like a likelihood than ace king with 3-bet, but still, given this is under the gun 9 raise, it's supposed to be pretty tight. On the flop also, like I don't have much of a like nut or range advantage, so I should just check and maybe check and maybe call if I think my opponent is bluffing. But yeah, I think that's here I just created problems for myself by 3-betting this large. I know it's kind of out of position. Ace queen of suit seems like good, so it's kind of maybe 3-bet more like as a bluff, but it's a big 3-bet, and I think it just seems too risky. If I just miss a flop, then my continuation bet in like on many flops just not gonna work. So again, it's similar problems with ace king though, but ace king is just like a stronger hand. and my range gets stronger if I don't like 3-bet ace queen and has more like pairs in it that can continue and like actually continuation bet for value. So yeah, I think if under the gun 9 raises, probably just don't 3-bet ace queen offsuit. 4-bet bluff versus semi-aggressive player. Have blinds 200, 400, have pocket 5s in middle position, raise to 1k, get 3-bet to 2.7k. I decided to go all in for 12k and end up getting a fold. So I had what, 30 big blinds. So yeah, I think pocket 5s are probably on the cusp of like raising or folding here. It's not super great pair. My stack is also like my stack is not super deep. But if I think if I just mix in some like 4 bets, then it's probably okay to raise. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't really like to get bullied. So I think sometimes I just need to defend my like raises with like 4 bets. That said, I think for this kind of play again, Ace X suited is a better suited thing. So again, I think like 5s is it's probably just fold pre-flop, to be honest, with this like stack depth. And so I cannot call. The problem is with a deeper stack, I can just still call for set mine. For like 4-bet, I don't really have any blockers. So if I like, there's a high chance I'm just gonna get called and like I'm at best flipping. And in a tournament, it's not as great because it's like I put my survival on the line. And I cannot just like I can re-enter in this particular tournament, but it's still not that great. So I think it was just more like a simplified thinking. Oh, it's like this is more like a semi-aggressive player, so there is a high chance of bluff. So let me just go all in. But yeah, next time I'll probably just fold pre-flop and only raise maybe 5s from cutoff or like a button. Yeah. Then missing the flop again. Have king queen of suit on middle position, raise to 1k and small blind calls. Flop ace 10x checks. I think that's a mistake. I have a gut shot, but then at the same time I have a good like nut and range advantage here. So I should bet. And gut shot it will just often not close, and king and queen may or may not be good. So of course, like ace X, especially ace X of suit, is a kind of popular calling hand. But I also have like some aces in my range, so I think I might as well just give it a shot. And small blind would probably call like wider in practice. Turn is some X, small blind bets. I decide to bluff catch and just decide to call, thinking that okay, he probably doesn't have an ace. And I still can get good with like jack or queen or king. Same time, it's yeah, that's probably situation why it was better to like bet myself on the flop and maybe give up later, because here I don't know where I stand. I can be just like against some ace which like check to the razor. Can be against like 10, or maybe some like junk. So it's small blind with here is his all calling range. So, and if I face a river bet, which is what happened, then I don't know where I stand, and I have too weak of a hand to like bluff catch. So yeah, I think I should have like just bet flop. So then attempt to stop and go, blinds 300, 500. I don't have that big of a stack. Have queen jack suited on middle position, raise to 1k, get 3-bet to 4k and call. I think I was tilted already at this point, that I cannot get much done. And I decide to just stop and go. Like I call and then go all in on like any flop. That probably was like not the best idea. Because people, if they recognize stop and go, they may just call you with like anything, some high cards. In this case, it was like ace flop, and opponent had ace king, so it's like easy call, and I'm out. So, and I didn't have any potential for like 4-bet all in as a bluff. So yeah, I think this 3-bet is just too large. So I think if my opponent just say 3-bets to like, I don't know, 2.5k, then I can go all in for like 12 or 11 something k and still have some fold equity. But this 3-bet is just too large for. And I think on the flop also, yeah, I think stop and go may be one of those things that like don't really like, work anymore. So then I go for like my third buy-in. I flop the flush pretty early. Under the gun 9 raise to 1k. There is one call, and I decide to call. That's actually one of the hands you can 3-bet light. So it's under the gun 9 range is pretty tight, but then king 10 is, so it has a blocker. And overall it's like a pretty good hand for post flop play. So it's a good like bluff 3-bet. So it's like on the cusp of like playability, because I probably shouldn't play like king 9 already for like under the gun 9 raise in a call. But king 10 I think is just on should be somewhere on that edge, and you like 3-bet those hands on the edge, like probably sometimes favoring suited. I think in the tournament you may favor sometimes do like offsuit 3-bet hands on the cusp, like for example here maybe like you can 3-bet ace queen for a bluff. But I think with deeper stacks, suited hands for us 3-bet bluffs seems to be like better, at least according to the cash charts. For tournaments, it's a bit like different, and I think but for tournaments, it's just like the charts I've been seeing, they're usually like for lower stack sizes. So cash is like, I don't know, 100 or 200 big blinds deep. For tournaments, it's something like, I don't know, 40 big blinds deep. So yeah, of course, there's just gonna be difference from that. And of course, in tournament, there's like ante, and usually people raise smaller, so there are like better pot odds. So yeah, but I think call is also like fine. Then flop is all hearts, giving me also like some straight flush draw. Under the gun 9 checks, caller bets 1.3k. I think I should have just slow played and try to get more people in, but I was like, I think I wanted to get some value and was afraid of giving like ace of hearts, some like drawing chances. So I just raised. So I thought like ace of hearts would probably still like stick around, but maybe they didn't have it. Then I think that's a hand where like I misplayed my jacks. Have jacks in middle position. UTG 9 raises to 1k. I 3-bet to 3k and get 2 calls. One person called, and UTG 9 called. I think that's actually like a mistake here, because UTG 9 is pretty tight. So I think it seems like with jacks, it's better to just like call. And this like avoids big losses later if I don't get a good flop. And now flop is like queen 7-3. So again, I don't know where I stand. So there are checks, and the cold caller bets 7k. UTG 9 folds, and I thought that okay, it's probably premature to just fold to 1-bet, because I may be against some kind of like ace king or something, which like just trying to steal a pot, or like maybe pocket tens. So I decided to call, but the problem is now in 3-bet pot it's all like just a big chunk of my stack, and I cannot sustain like a large amount of aggression. So like on the turn there is another bet, and I kind of have to fold. So yeah, against early position raiser, just call preflop with jacks. And again, same hand. It's more or less standard situation. Blinds 300, 500. I have ace king of suit on the button. There's early position raise, a call. I 3-bet to 4k. The fold and caller puts me all in. I call. They show up with ace king suited, and we end up chopping. I'm surprised that there's of this play by a caller. So they call like a first raise, but then they probably were like expecting a 3-bet or something, because they just like go all in later. And like I would say, I don't know, if I decide to go all in later, I probably just like, I don't know, 3-bet myself. But maybe they were just like setting a trap. Then coin flip. That's, well, the luck I needed. Queens versus ace king. So raise, call, and like 3-bet, and go all in. And yeah, I know that I'm not getting any fold equity, and yeah, I got versus ace king and win. Then flopping a straight, blinds 500, 1k. I have 9 8 suited on under the gun 9, raised to 2k. There are 2 callers. I get straight with like, but there are like 2 diamonds. So this is a check. I decide not to slow play because of the diamonds, and like there are some cards which can kill the action, like 8, 9, 4, 3. So there is a raise to 20k. Another player just folds. And yeah, there's not much left to do. I go all in and get called, obviously. And opponent had a set. So that's a cooler. I think opponent just didn't do anything wrong. He also just like raised because, well, he's maybe afraid of cards that can kill the action. He wants to charge the draws. Yeah, just like unlucky on his part. Then pre-flop play with ace king. Blinds 1k, 1.5k. I lost some of my stack too. Like not that much, but like not much relatively, but absolutely it's been like, I don't know, 14k or something. So there is a raise, 3-bet, and I just decide to go all in with ace king. It's like about what, 35 big blinds. I'm happy to just play all in with this. Like maybe even like if even if there is a flip, it's probably like reasonable. And this is just a good chance that I'm just gonna pick up the pot right away, which I did. So also like pretty good result. Then trying to hero call. Well, yeah, I kind of don't like to get bluffed. And I think in this situation, what happened? So I have queen 5 offsuit on big blind, hijack raises to 3k, and I call. I think it's again on the cusp of playability, but like pot odds are really good, and I have a queen. So then flop is 7-5-3. That's pretty good for me. I think hijack wouldn't have that many like low cards in his range. So I check, there's a continuation bet, and I like have an easy call. Turn is 8. Again, I kind of want to just like wait for a cheap showdown if possible. So again, I'm out of position. I don't see a reason to like lead. So I check. River is 4. So I check, hijack, bet 15k. I think for a bit, I thought it's actually like a relatively easy call, because I thought that he would have a lot of like high cards. But I lose to king 6. So yeah, I didn't put him on a 6 at all, and that's why I called. That said, I don't know if it's that great of a call, because I can be losing against some like overpair. I can be losing against like any 8 or 7. So yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why like queen 5 of suit on BB is not like super great. Again, you can say that same thing would happen with a suited hand, but then it would happen like 4 times less frequently. So I'm kind of getting out myself of those marginal spots to like a big degree and get some extra like outs for the win. So yeah, probably, yeah, I don't know. I may still call pre-flop and call the flop, but I'm probably I'm gonna fold the river, or who knows. Yeah, that's a tough one. So yeah, I think that's what, like, probably 5 is just a bit too weak. So maybe I should call with something like Queen 7 or like Queen 8 or what offsuit or whatnot, and focus more on suited hands. So with suited hands, I'm just calling everything. I think Queen 5 offsuit is still like on the charts for a call. So yeah, maybe it's in general like still a decent call, but it's also like a big bet. So it's what, 3k plus 3k plus 2.5k, 8k plus 15k. It's about a pot-sized bet. So yeah, question is like what's gonna be my bluff catchers. And I think probably I should have like something more like a 7, to be honest. Because opponent may essentially just thin value bet as well. I've seen this kind of opponents. So yeah. But again, the way it played out, I think some kind of high cards are more like somewhat likely. At the same time, I think since he continuation bet, if he plays it right, he'd probably just check with most of his range with like high cards, because like 7-5-3 is hitting my range pretty well. It doesn't mean he's always plays correctly. So yeah, I think I probably would be leaning more towards a like fold on a river, to be honest, with this hand. Other one, and trying to hear a call again. This is a more situation where I just like talk that I have a suited hand and I defend any suited hand against like a raise, with like at least like a mean raise. So I get a middle pair on a flop with a flush draw, so I check to the razor, and razor checks. Turn is a deuce, I bet for protection, and get a call. So river is a king. So I check, and the razor puts me all in for like 20k. I think for a while I got a clock called on me. I ended up just like crying calling this. The problem is like jacks and kings are in his range quite a lot, so like I just had the feeling that he like gotten there, and he indeed had. I think part of my reasoning was that like I would remain with only like 10 big blinds if I fold, and I was getting like 1 to 2 to call. So, and with 10 big blinds, I'm not gonna like have much wiggling room. I'd probably just end up like getting all in with like, I don't know, 50-50 or whatnot, or I don't know, maybe like 60-40 or something. So I thought that if like there's a good chance my opponent is bluffing, I might as well like take my chance here instead. But yeah, it's gonna turn out poorly. Yeah, it definitely works better if like your opponent doesn't river you. But well, that's poker. And that's gonna be my like third bullet. One more thing about this tournament, which I think I did wrong. It's been kind of expensive, so I probably should have just played it like once. So it's one of the situations where you can kind of afford it. You had like winnings to cover it, but at the same time, it's like still a bit much. So I should probably just not play the other bullets and like instead focus on like more cheaper cash games, which by the way were great, and I'm gonna talk about them in the next videos. So thank you for watching and have a good rest of your day. Bye.